What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode in this Lost Wave interview series. The song that brought today's band an internet cult following, like many, was first uploaded to What's That Song? On July 8th, 2007, by a user named Presviva. Simply titled World English, the track that plays is a funky one.
Over this, no time games with little wicked boys. Special look, a quick, he'd smile, and I says he's ready, but I just can't run out loud. Pick your feet up yourself, funky. Using as a pussy, baby, play me funky. Your way of high, boy, don't you know it? You think the dance floor has a name? Dance floor has his name. If I took a pill and looked at you, I wouldn't stand a chance, I'll stick to drinking.
Now, while the song was unidentified, it went under the placeholder name Dance for Hours a Day. This case is particularly interesting for a few reasons. The first being that if you listen closely, you can hear applause at the beginning, indicating this was recorded at some live venue. The second being that unlike some OPs who will just upload a snippet to What's That Song, never to be heard from again, Presviva was actively helping in the search, which proved to be beneficial. Presviva would submit an audio sample of a similar sounding song that came from the same SD card that Dance for Hours a Day had been stored on. The metadata read that the song was called You Don't Need Me by a band named RTP, which users would eventually figure out meant Royal Treatment Plant. With a name now being thrown into the mix, Discord user Sveta would search through this Royal Treatment Plant's Discogs, where she discovered they had a track called Funky off of their first EP. It had the same metadata to the original file that Presviva had. From here, Sveta would search through a number of pages and websites that contained MP3 files on them titled funky.mp3. She would eventually come across a website called katiedrummer.com where she found this audio.
Over this, no time playing games with little wicked boys. Special look, a quick, he'd smile, and I says he's ready, but I just can't run out loud. Pick your feet up yourself, funky. Using as a pussy, baby, play me.
It was confirmed on January 9th, 2024, that the song we had been searching hours a day for was called Funky by Royal Treatment Plant, a UK-based rock band, whom I have the pleasure to speak to 3 of its original founding members today. So everyone from royalty to every tax bracket below it, please enjoy today's interview. So here we are, everyone. We are with Royal Treatment Plant themselves. Everyone, thank you so much for your time today to do this interview. We got DJ on the left. He does bass and vocals. In the middle, we got Paula Steele, guitar and lead vocals. And then all the way on the right, we have Sean Taylor, who also does guitar. So everyone, thank you so much for your time.
We have to tell you it's Sam.
It sounds.
Oh, Sam, what did I say? Did I say Sean?
Sam, Sean.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sean Taylor's a football player. I'm sorry, Sam Taylor. I apologize. Sam on guitar. So everyone, thank you so much for your time. Let's just take it right from the beginning. Tell me about the origin and formation of the band Royal Treatment Plant.
Well, we met at a bus stop, right?
Yeah. We met at a bus stop in Uxbridge outside London, where DJ was studying university.
I mean, that's pretty much it. It's probably the most sedate band meeting ever. I'd left my band, and Paula was looking for a band, or looking to start something up.
Yeah.
And pretty much, how did we get in contact? I can't remember.
I think it was through a friend of a friend at
Friend of a
uni.
friend.
Yeah. Because we were working in music venues and things like that. And I just started writing songs and playing a bit of guitar. And Sammy, I think I interviewed you for a job.
Yeah, you were.
And I was like,
me. Yeah.
I really like you, but don't do the jobs. Let's just be in a band. So that's how it kind of started. And so it's the 3 of us, and I know she was us. It was just us. And then we had a drummer for a bit who went back to Australia, because I'm from Australia originally. And then Sam, and just wanted a bigger sound and wanted more bits and pieces going on. And just kind of grew and evolved from there.
Okay.
Yeah, we
So
just
you
played lots of gigs in London, lots of the usual gigs in London at that time. And I think you've got a list of every venue we played. It was like all the little toilet venues, from the 12 Bar Club and the 100 Club and all these little venues all over London, some that are still there, some not.
Interesting. So you guys met at a bus stop, which is kind of a fascinating place to start the origins of a band. Was this like sometime shortly before you guys released your first EP, like around 05, somewhere around there?
I was trying to think the dates, and I think it
Yeah.
must have been at least a year or so
Yeah.
before.
Totally.
'Cause
I think that
we-
was one of the first EPs
Yeah.
we
So we hadn't written any of those songs on that album at that stage, and then I reckon it would have been 2003 maybe. The common connection was a really great music venue in West London called Bush Hall that's still there now. Lots of amazing artists go through there. Some of my favourite gigs, like seeing Amy Winehouse before she became big, or Adele literally in her pajamas singing before she released her first album. I worked at that venue, and so I think that was the connection through various friends. We kind of spent 10 years hanging out, playing ourselves, but also seeing lots of amazing bands. And REM, like private gig, oh my god, like 300 people in a room, and some really cool bands coming through. So that was the big, I think, connection point. It was just musicians and everybody doing interesting stuff.
I've always found that fascinating about like the music scene, how like when there's like a certain area or kind of venue that a lot of musicians, big or small, hang out, you'll see anyone from like REM to Amy Winehouse, and then like all the bands in between. It's insanity.
Yeah, and I mean, you're making my memory going up. I thought about this for years, but we saw Kings of Leon before they were famous. Coldplay came and did a thing there before they really became massive. There's lots of different artists. It's quite a small venue, about 300 people, I think. It's like, that's how much it can hold, but a really amazing venue. Still there, Bush Hall Music. Everyone's in London, and there's a record store next door called Next Door Records, which is amazing. So it's kept the music alive, which is incredible through COVID, everything like that. But that's kind of, that's where we were. I worked there, interviewed Sam, didn't get, but I can't remember. Yeah.
I remember you brought me out onto the balcony to show me the venue.
I didn't realise the venue was, it's an old ballroom. Anyway, it's incredible. But that thinking back now, that was the connecting dots.
Yeah, we used to play a lot of gigs in Camden. Camden scene was quite big, and still is, I guess, right now. That was around the time of like Block Party, Razorlight as well.
Yeah, the Noisettes.
Exactly. So we had like a whole, just being around, people would just be in bars, hanging around. So you'd get a vibe, and there was a scene going on. So it's cool to be part of.
Lots of really good bands. Scanners. My favorite.
Taking a trip down memory lane right now. Huh?
Look Scanners up.
Tell me then, working together as a band, what was the writing process like when making songs, EPs, LPs?
So I guess I usually started with the basis of the song, like the lyrics and chords and things like that, and then these guys just improvised and made it amazing. I mean, I was always far more excited in what they did to the song than what I did to the song, if you know what I mean. Sam and DJ, very, very creative writers and creative sounds. So it was just very organic. But it would usually start with lyrics and chords, and then these guys would just make it sound loud.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Pretty traditional in that respect.
Yeah,
but a lot of the conduit and a lot of the poetry and stuff would come from poetry and lyrics come from Paula, and then we'd shape around it usually. So
I mean, I tried to convince them that they should be the lead singers, because they're actually way better singers than I am. Like, they are just amazing. And you've got your own side projects, and not side projects, like main projects, Kawa, and Deej is doing amazing things at the moment in the West End, and just on Stranger Things. So Stranger Things have got a West End show now. That from the TV show, but Deej has just written the music for it, and it's just like, I can't even get a ticket. So like, please can I have a ticket for under £200? So everyone's doing like their own stuff. Yeah, they're very talented crew.
I think you should probably
surrounded by creativity.
100%, but I think you got to give yourself more credit, Paula, because I'll be honest, one of my favorite things about the songs is your voice. Like, your voice is beautiful. Like, I'll just say it straight up, it's very nice. It's very maybe it's just because it has like a nostalgic sound to me, because back when you guys were making music, I was just a wee little lad. So it sounds like something I would have found on the internet when I was just scourging through it for hours on end on my mom's computer. And in regards to like the improv thing, from what I've heard just about everything except for one EP from you guys, and there's definitely like a lot of different flavors that you get. It's like an alternative indie rock sound. I even at a few points heard like an electronic sound. There was like some form of like synth work going on in a few songs from your first album, which is, the name is blanking on me.
Hope Is Not Enough.
Hope Is Not Enough. Yes, exactly. Like a few songs on there's like an electronic synth sound to it too, which is like not something you usually hear with like late 2000s or early 2010s like indie rock, at least from what I've heard.
I think where the influences came from, I think for me, it just always felt like I could hear more things. I could hear more layers. I could hear more variations on the song's structure. I could hear, orchestral sounds or whatever, and I just wanted to build up the layers. And I think that's where it came from. And we had a little mini microcork. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
We still have. It's a bit broken. And it just, we were quite limited into the sounds we could use on that. The whole thing with microchord was you program it, you hook in other stuff, but we never did. We just used like the basic settings
Out of the box.
out of the box, and technical Luddites. So we were just restricted by the number of sounds, and some of them were quite a bit nuts. But and we just I always just could hear these other sounds that I didn't really know how to create, and I think that's where keyboard came in. But to start with, we were very, had violin, we had anthem violin. Sam actually played cello and stuff way back in the beginning, and was very more acousticy, and then just took that extra way forward. I think the
Well, that
influence
probably happened to the studio as well.
being in the studio,
Once you're in the studio
recording,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, just having a bit more width in the sound, and I think a lot of that time as well, there were a lot of remixes going around with loads of bands. So it was one of those bits of like timbres of music that we kind of just imbibed and just tried to put through our sound as well. Around that, it was pretty natural.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a forced like deal in terms of, oh, we definitely need that sound. It was something that was kind of always there. Even with Carry Me, we always had like, that synth breakdown section. So it was always something that we kind of
On the
carried
first
through.
EP, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So we always carried it through. We just got wider.
That was definitely one note.
Oh yeah, one note.
That's the same in
Yeah.
Killer Hills.
And Killer Hills as well.
Yeah.
Basically one note the whole way on a microchord.
Great.
Yeah. Take the finger off. Put back.
Indie jazz.
You mentioned the word influences earlier, Paula. What are some of the biggest musical influences on the band as a whole? And what I mean by that is like, every individual has like their personal bands and stuff that they love. Like, but as a band as a whole, who would you say you guys were trying to sound like or be influenced by?
DJ mentioned Block Party earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a stab.
You have to go first.
In the fact that really, I mean, I think we were influenced by Paula, because Paula basically had brought a sound in, and we started off quite experimentally folky, I would probably say.
Yeah.
Just through Paula's conduit. And then that kind of widened into, we can do quite a lot of things in this kind of indie realm of where we were sitting. And I think any and all of those palettes, just because of the makeup of the band, ended up being quite wide.
Yeah.
And then we're into loads of bands anyway, like Metric and Broken Social Scene, Emily Haynes kind of vibe. There was a phenomenon I think I'm going to call a did it, right? And the phenomenon of the did it was basically just, it was a whole like alt wire kind of like there was a strum pattern like a did it. There was all these like did it's going around at the time, and it was kind of like the did it wave, the new wave did it wave. Yeah, it was a whole like punky alt movement of everyone putting did-its in, and I think we kind of were part of that wave. But it was kind of the thing. It was kind of a cool done thing around the time.
The did-it wave.
Block Party especially did a lot of did-its.
Yeah, I still remember. I think there's two things I really remember. Was one, when we were in the studio playing Carry Me, which started off as, carry me to the other side.
Yeah.
And then ended up as,
Such fun.
Folky thing. It was folky.
Yeah,
and I do remember the first rehearsal where your guitar, DJ's bass, Katie was on drums, Alex was writing. It just was like, oh, that sound is amazing.
Yeah.
What that's happening, like, we had mini disc players recording on the mini disc player, record that. And I do remember the sound coming together where we were just so excited. I mean, just tingling with excitement of that sound. It was at Graceland Studios. It is now Lock of Flats. That was an old fashioned London fish shop, and the guy that ran it was obsessed with Elvis. I still remember anyway. It was great. So we used to pay a $5 to rehearse. But I think that the other and I do remember us in my bedroom listening to the Block Party CD for the first time, and all going absolutely ballistic, like completely nuts in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And just loving it, loving the energy and the rawness.
Silent Alarms.
Yeah, Silent Alarm.
But they were influenced by Gang of Four and
Yeah.
Wire. So that kind of refinding like angular pop punk kind of like, we found that conduit sat quite well with us at the time, and that was what was going around at the time anyway. Like, really felt exciting.
Yeah, but I think DJ's right though. I didn't have a lot of music. I come from a very classical background and a very religious background, and we weren't allowed to really listen to anything that wasn't Christian music. Might sound crazy. Even like I think I was allowed to listen to U2 around the age of 18, 19. I remember listening to U2 because they were kind of Christian, and I've got, my background was very closed off, and I didn't really listen to a lot of bands. I think for me, we got into a scene that we were going to gigs and singing lots of bands at the time. But it wasn't like I had an obsessive playlist where I was just listening to like, you know, certain bands on repeat, la la la. I think for me, it was bringing my expression and what I wanted to do, as DJ said, and then workshopping, basically rehearsing with these guys. And I think I often felt quite ignorant, and I often felt quite kind of stupid compared to a lot of other people out there whose musical influences were so vastly bigger than mine. I didn't grow up listening to loads of music. If I was playing a lot of classical music, because that's okay. God's okay with classical music, but I wasn't listening to music outside of that very much. So I didn't feel very formed. And now, even listening back to some of the records, I think I've always been really hard on myself about, wow, you really had no idea. And people will talk about their influences, and I feel like now, way more, the music that I listen to so much more music than I do now. I mean, it's such an exciting time in music right now with Boy Genius and just, I don't know, there's just so much cool stuff going on that I'm a bit obsessed with. But I wasn't like that back when we were in the band. I think for me, it was a bit of an exorcism. It was kind of I'm bringing all these songs, I'm writing about stuff that is meaningful to me. I don't even know quite what I'm saying because I'm not mature enough to know what I'm saying. I've only been out in the big bad world for about 3 years. You know, I kind of left Australia, left the religion I was in until I came to London. I never felt like I could say these are our influences. People would tell us and say, you sound like da da da, and I'd be like, oh, who's that? You know, so I was never consciously aspiring to be a band that was around at that time that was super famous.
But that's what made it interesting, I think, for us in terms of that kind of classical influence anyway. Like we had a lot of irregular time signatures and stuff like that at the beginning. Yeah. So it was very, you know, it was interesting.
They got weeded out by our labels.
I mean, it kind of just shows you like how big the music industry is, because like as someone who listens to a lot of music myself, like, you know, I've talked to many people where like they make me feel like an ant compared to like what they listen to, like, you know, recently finding out what like acid jazz is. I'm like, what the hell is that? And like, you know, I've been looking into that. Yeah. A lot of times when you listen to a band, or sometimes when you listen to a band, you can tell when they're kind of just phoning it in, or like they're kind of just going with the motions. There's really not that genuine energy there. And it's cool to hear that you guys, sounds like you were influencing off of each other, because you listen to your songs, you listen to, you know, you watch any music video you guys have put online, you know, you listen to Halfway to the Sun, you can tell there's an energy there, because it doesn't just sound like you guys are phoning it in, because it sounds different every song. Like sometimes it's more, you know, like it has like more of an emotional touch to it, where other times it's just straight, just post-grunge kind of just straight out rocker, which, you know, how can you not love? And it's cool to hear actually that, you know, something called like Royal Treatment Plant, which in today's day and age, some people would probably consider like maybe like a THC reference of sorts, just you have the word plant in there. But it's fascinating to hear that you come from actually a very strict and religious background. Speaking of which, is there a backstory to the name Royal Treatment Plant?
Not really. I mean, it was our first drummer, Ben, who had to go back to Australia. When DJ Ben and I were just a three-piece. By the way, I found our original original CD.
Get out of town.
I think this is the one that we'd never put anyway, but it's just 3 tracks.
Wow.
With me, you, and Ben. Recorded at Westminster Uni with Chris.
Remember that.
I found it in my mum's drawer.
Holy crap.
Yeah. I think so it was his idea, really. We were talking about treatment and treatment plant, and he was saying he always liked to play on kind of royal treatment and treatment plant. And I was like, you know, I kind of affiliated with the treatment bit of it, like it's like treatment for our troubles, treatment for our souls. The first song I wrote was called Treatment, I think. And that has kind of that slight folky vibe to it. So that's really where it came from, and that kind of thinking of, we didn't go too deep about it. It's just like, I really like that. And then kind of about 6 months later, really regretted it. People couldn't say the name, couldn't remember it. We had sewage plant.
Yeah.
Is that like a treatment plan, like the doctor gives you? Too many teas. And I was like, no, but I'm sticking with the name because I believe in it. I remember one industry people trying to get us to change our name to something else at one point. And I was just like, well, you know what? Okay, whatever. So I'm just like, people don't like the name, then whatever. I don't care. I'm sticking with it. So we did.
It's definitely memorable if you get it right.
Well, yeah, if you can remember it. Right on.
I mean, to be fair, Royal Treatment Plant, those are just like words that like you just don't expect to hear within the same like sentence, like royal and plant. Like what context are you ever going to need to say that? Like the last artist I interviewed, his name was Happy Ashtray. Like, You're never gonna have Happy and Ashtray, which, by the way, you should check him out. Happy Ashtray, he makes really good music.
Sure.
Well, like, that's another example, like, of just a name you just never expect to hear those two words together. So, like, it's like a fun kind of dichotomy to it, you know? As a band who has done everything from putting out full-length LPs to making multiple music videos, what would you say are some of the most rewarding parts of playing together, as well as the most challenging?
Rewarding. I think just the classic being in a band and being able to like jam and create songs, be in a room with like-minded people who there's that special kind of sauce where 5 people are in a room.
It's just the energy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just
It is the energy. I mean, I would never want to be a solo person ever. I mean, I don't have enough creativity to be a solo person. The best bit of it all is that energy of creating stuff. I don't know, for me, that is the best bit. I think performing live I found a really mixed bag. Like, I love playing live, but so often when you're on a band at the sort of venues we were playing and the sort of gigs we were playing, the sound was really hard work. You couldn't hear things properly. I distinctly remember a gig where the sound man just disappeared, never came back, and we're on stage, there's feedback in Camden, and I'm like, what does it sound like? I don't know. You know, it was gigging, playing live was great. And when you can hear yourself and the music sounds good and you feel musically like you're really into it. And a lot of gigs we played weren't like that. So I found the live scene challenging because you felt like it didn't quite work or didn't quite transmit. But occasionally you'd have those magic gigs and you'd just be like, you know, like we did a little tour up north, up into Scotland once, and played a few venues up there. I think by the time we came back from that, we were playing so well and so tight. And I remember doing and it was so good. I mean, just for some reason the sound was right. The sound guy was not in the loo, you know, the sound girl was not in the loo, and we actually played well. So, you know, it was good. So I think for me, it was the creative process that was the best thing. And just hanging out when you had the time to just hang out and spend days making videos, like, you know, when you put paper mache on my face and pulled it up bit by bit. Yeah. Putting, you know, we just hung out doing creative stuff, and that's the bit I miss now, because, you know, life is a bit different when you're a bit older and you don't have much time for yourself or to do stuff like that. Sorry if you've got noise in the background. We're actually on the South Bank in London, there's like these voice announcements sound a bit like you're boarding a plane. But
yeah, because I remember you mentioned that you guys were gonna meet up somewhere, but like, and then you guys joined. I thought you guys were just in a house, but then I still heard background noise. So no, you're fine.
We're actually sitting on the South Bank in London. We're just going to go for lunch. And the other guys from the band, Tom and Chris, are there. They're on kid duty. They've got the kids. But we're sitting in the South Bank and we're just looking over literally the Houses of Parliament. It's like proper London Eye. We're like, so we'll flip the camera. See
the most London you can get.
It's the most London you can get. How do we?
I've never been to England.
Wow, she's totally come over.
Yeah, it's never sunny. It's a complete ruse. There we go.
Same thing in New England. Like, I'm actually surprised we're having a sunny day. Oh wow, it's beautiful.
That's Big Ben.
Yeah, I can see a Big Ben.
And then that's the House of Parliament, kind of right in the middle. And then there's the London Eye. Yeah, so this is the South Bank vista on the Thames, and that's the Thames. And that's what bridge is that called?
I think
the Hungerford Bridge. Anyway, that's where we shot the video for Half as Much. It's on that bridge.
Totally.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and below the South Bank is where we shot we shot the video to Half as Much all on the South Bank. And
that's cool.
The DJ did it. The whole thing was stop motion, wasn't it?
Stop motion with a little camera. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I love that video.
You're amazing. Just being creative. It was just a time of like, you know, creativity, being together, and also like certain classic band ideology where you're like, we make some good shit.
Yeah.
You know, and we all gel. We make some good shit, and it was kind of like
we loved each other's noises.
Another good one was Undercurrent, like the music video to Undercurrent. I thought was genius. So just like the backwards, like writing up the arm, like I thought the whole song was just gonna be like a lyric video, but like it was. I don't know. I just thought that was super cool. That was your idea, Paula?
Yeah.
See, again, give yourself more credit. That was super creative.
Thanks, guys. I really am a genius. Yeah, it was so much fun. It's just creating stuff, and I've kind of got this bucket list of things to do, which is making loads of videos for songs and music, because I just found that there was another video we made from the stills from Papua New Guinea. So I was raised in Papua New Guinea, and there's a video we made to one of the songs called All That's Left. That is taken from the Super 8 footage my dad took in Papua New Guinea when I was very little. So that they were missionaries up there for the church we were in, and DJ helped me put it all together. We got it taken up to Super 8, and then we did some stop motion stuff and some actual footage stuff, and that was just amazing. I just get a massive kick out of doing things like that.
It's also kind of wild just seeing your stuff at the time on MTV2 and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like,
insane.
it's pretty crazy. So,
On telly.
Well, speaking of creative processing and speaking of cool things, I think we should talk about why you guys are here in the first place. Your song Funky. So just, you know, quick backstory just for everyone watching and to update you guys. In July of 2007, a What's That Song user named Prez Viva, he actually uploaded a 30-second snippet of the song Funky. At the time, he didn't know the name of it, to the website What's That Song. And it's most likely he got it from some file sharing website, either like torrent or something like that. And the song went unidentified for like 17 years before it was properly identified. It wasn't identified until January 9th of 2024 this year, when him and another user named Sveta were able to find Katie Stevenson's website after looking through Google for pages that had funky.mp3 in them, and they were able to find her performing drums on the live performance for Funky, which once we found that audio, once we found what RTP stood for, Royal Treatment Plant, mystery was solved, song was identified, and you guys got flooded with messages, I imagine, because before the song got identified, there was an upload on YouTube that had over 200 some odd thousand views online, which, like, to a Lost Wave song is mind-blowing. That's partially because a very massive YouTuber who covers Lost Wave and internet mysteries named Shy Valley mentioned you in one of his videos when the song was still mysterious, and the song at the time was called Dance for Hours a Day, because that's what we thought we heard. Here we are now, 17, or actually almost 20 years after the song was made. Here we are now talking about it. Many new fans are come to you guys, listening to your music, myself included. So we just want to know, what's the backstory behind the song Funky, and more specifically, that live performance that is found on your first EP?
Oh God, I think I wrote it about a guy I fancied massively, that I felt was too cool for them. I think I really liked singing it because I didn't have to play guitar, so I've literally leapt around the stage like a free spirit every time we played it. And we used to finish with it, I think.
Yeah.
We always would finish the set with it. And you're on guitar, you're on bass, and Katie's on drums.
Correct.
Katie, yeah. So at the time, Katie Stevenson was our drummer. And yeah, it was just a really fun song. And it was kind of let your hair down. It's the end of the set. Go wild. And it was about a guy I really fancied who had dark eyes, and he was just so groovy. He's way too funky for me, but I was a bit obsessed.
I doubt he has a popular Lost Wave song though, so who's winning now in life?
Well, do you know what? I think we're even.
The live performance, that was played, you said, with Katie Stevenson. She was on drums. And so, is there like a regular studio version for this song, or is there only a live version for this song?
I actually think this is a studio recording. We used to play it live all the time. We had a live recording of it that we loved, but it wasn't great. It was like just on a little mini disc recorded. I think it might have even been in Bush Hall, actually. And we recorded it on the mini disc, but the sound quality wasn't that great. So what we did is we kept all the audience responses, all the bits of the crowd, and we re-recorded the song in studio. So it's a bit of a mix of a live recording and a studio recording.
I did find an old recording of that. I think it was from possibly from a rehearsal.
You think so?
Yeah.
We can't. I have to dig through. I've got my box of mini discs. I think of every rehearsal and all this stuff.
You're right. I think then it was transferred that into the studio, and then we took the violin.
Yeah.
Because the violin and a couple of other bits were not.
We're not on the recording you have.
Yeah. It's a bit of a mishmash.
We're not really sure. We need to do a bit more research.
Hence why it's probably like trying to figure it out. I guess that's in that search.
But I'm pretty sure the vocals and the band are somehow studio based, and the stuff with I remember the audience yelling in the bit where it drops down to silence. I just remember that vibe, and I'm pretty sure it was a Bush Hall gig, and I'm pretty sure the woo is Adam Kikadakis.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Pretty sure that's Adam's woo on there.
Because that was we always finished it, so that was the one. Yeah. I think we were just it was always the gig ender. That's the one that people looked forward to.
I would definitely say it shows the improvisation of your guys' band that you were talking about earlier, because that switch up that happens in the middle completely threw me off guard. I just was not expecting the kind of the compared to the fast pace, first like minute and a half of it.
Everybody knows.
I think this like shows like the versatility of the band, or maybe this is just my idiocy into the music industry. But like, I thought it was a country rock song at first, just because it has like that kind of fun Southern America kind of like a party country rock song. So I thought that you guys are gonna be somewhere from like the South, but you know, I couldn't be more wrong. You guys are all the way on the other side of the pond. So like again, it shows that like that diversity or within your music, that like, you know, you didn't just stick to one sound. There's like that indie vibe, there's that electronic, like, you know, poppy vibe sometimes, and then there's apparently a country rock vibe from what I hear. But regardless,
I never thought about it that way. I'm going to listen to it again.
I absolutely like think it's super catchy, and a lot of people online do too. That's why it's blown up so big. So then I have to ask, what's the band's reaction to finding out you guys were considered at one point a lost song online and were being searched for by thousands and thousands of people?
Well, Sam messaged me to tell me this, and I was like, yeah, right. I had
She was in Australia.
I was in Australia at the time, and a message came through from Sam saying, oh my God, like, how exciting is this? And I was like, yeah, right. And I just didn't believe him. Like, I was just like, you know, whatever. And then I think I was on the way back from Australia, and I had 4 hours in Shanghai where I was just waiting on my own. Normally I'm traveling with my family, so I've got childcare duties, but I was on my own. And then I thought, I just have a look through I was like, oh my God, this is real. This is so crazy. And I was trying to put the timeline together, because I was like, this started before we'd ever really released anything. And then we went on to release loads of things, but like in parallel in the background, people were looking for the song that we hadn't released. So we were blown away, actually. I was saying to Sam, like, all the people that have contacted us online, it's just such an amazing community. Like, people are so passionate about music, lots of different types of music. So sweet, and really, I don't know, it's just that there's
really cool scenes.
Great scene of people that are passionate about music and get excited about music. And I was really blown away just by how amazing the community of the Reddit threads, but it was just it was shocking. It was shocked. We were just all a bit like, oh my God. And it's kind of been a bit of a catalyst for us to reconnect. We all live in London, or we're not that far out of London, so we see each other quite a bit, but we don't see each other as much as we should. Sam and I live closest, so we probably see the most of each other. But I think it's just brought us back together, really, to like, hey guys, this is amazing. And I think it's kind of kicked our butts a bit, because we've realised that we have a lot of music. We've not looked after it very well, I think. So there's music everywhere on different platforms. It's all over the shop, and we need to sort ourselves out, because actually there's people that want to hear our songs. Which I guess when you do 10 years in a band of small venues, and you really, it's everything, you put your heart and soul into it. In 10 years, for me, they got to a point where I guess I was pretty down about the whole thing. And I think, in a way, we never stopped playing. We never made a decision and said we're not playing. But something in me couldn't keep going anymore. I just couldn't. And then you kind of look back and think, but we never put things properly up on, I guess, the internet. The kind of the streaming and all that was evolving alongside our band. I mean, when we started, social media didn't exist. So there was no Facebook. You know, we had MySpace started when we were as a band. Stuff was just everywhere. We kind of left it everywhere, and we never really tidied it up, or I think maybe gave the music the value that it deserved. And I think that's what it's really done. It's kicked my butt a bit to go, do you know what, people really like this music. People who are passionate about music really like the music. You should like treat it with more care and sort it out. So we're going to get the tracks up, we're going to get funky up, and the rest of the art properly. We're just sorting that out with one of our old labels now, and just get our house in order, and maybe get back to being a bit more creative or something that always going to do. So.
Oh, does that mean that like soon then your entire discography will be on all streaming services like Apple, Spotify?
Yeah,
that's good.
That's what we want to sort out, because at the moment, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
And if it's a cool thing to let you know that a lot of the people in this Lost Wave community, that's what we call like a song that goes lost online. We call it Lost Wave. A lot of them are people like my age or younger. Like I'm 23, but it's a newer generation that is fascinated with music in general, but a good mystery. And that's what really brings this community together, is that like whenever there's a mystery to a piece of media, we're naturally fascinated by it. But when it's a song as good as like Funky or like other Lost Wave songs that have been solved, like naturally, like we're going to be interested in it. So it's a new generation that's like enjoying older music, which is, it's refreshing to know.
I was going to say thanks you lot, because actually it's one of those things that, I mean, I watch YouTube more than I watch TV, and I love it. So, and it's, I'm also fascinated about all those theories. I think we all are. But to be the subject of that, totally blown our minds in terms of, oh no, that's us. In terms of, and also with the fact that, you know, you make such a catalogue, you inevitably have to like the stuff that you did. So we really appreciate that you guys really like the stuff that we do, because that's all the reason that we made it, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, we made it to get out there and make some cool stuff that people really dug. So the fact that people are still digging it now is
it's mind-blowing.
incredible.
It's completely
Thank you.
completely mind-blowing.
I got one last question for you here, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I understand you got stuff going on. What do you want people to take away from your guys' work?
God, such a deep question.
I got to end on a philosophical one, of course.
I think, I don't know, let me take a stab. I reckon, like, we're a band who always want to make some good stuff. I mean, you know, most bands do, right? You plug into the zeitgeist and you react, and you think you make stuff that's worthy of feeling, and that feeling comes from us. You know, you conduit it into this song, right, that has all this bottled emotion and bottled poetry that is really just, you know, it's a feeling of energy that comes out. And we thought we were riding that wave at the time, especially when we made these songs, of being in a band. And it's kind of the dream, right? When you're in a band, you want to make these songs that get out there. So in some sort of way, just to go back to the last reaction, it's totally rad that people are still getting that reaction that we kind of wanted from these songs initially. And the fact that that energy is still there. And as ever, music's cyclical, right? So the fact that people are still digging like The Who or Nirvana or whatever, you know, the fact that that doesn't change. Good music is good music in a way. It's all we ever wanted to do.
Have you just put
really.
us on the same level as Nirvana?
I mean, why not?
Why not,
I mean,
right?
we were just people who wanted to make some good music, right?
I mean, at
So,
one point they were a
yeah.
band playing in like pubs and local small scenes.
I mean, I think for me, what did we want people? I think for me, it was about connecting with an outside world, really, that I wasn't really part of growing up. As a younger musician, I wasn't thinking too much about what I wanted people to take away. I just really hoped people liked it, that I wasn't completely insane in what I was doing. And I had enough energy and passion to not care too much what people think. I think that must have been pretty evident because we were just doing completely random stuff, but it felt good for us. But for me, it was trying to reach out and connect with a world outside that I hadn't had connection with, which was that just being in a bar, having a beer. It just, this was not part of my world. I came from a very different childhood and teenage years. Being older, with great age comes great wisdom, maybe. But I think now it's like, you just want people to just really enjoy the energy and kind of that vibe that you're bringing to your songs, because you're truly just trying to connect with people, aren't you? You're really just trying to connect through the divide. And I think the things that I love is that there's little messages from people or whatnot, where it's just a little glimpse into someone's life, or even just like, having a chat to you and your life and your pictures on your wall. I just think it's connection, 100%. And now I can see that. I think it probably was that when we were younger, but didn't really realize it so much. But now it's just, for me, it's that connection with people who are excited about the same thing, which is music and creativity and things like that. That's for me the reason now. So
I think you guys have accomplished that goal of connecting with the actual world, like I'm talking globally, because the Lost Wave community can be found in not just America and the UK. There's many people who are from Canada, South America, Poland, Germany. Like, this is a worldwide community that, like, everyone is just fascinated by these lost songs because they come from those places as well. We've had lost songs from like Germany, Canada, South America. You definitely accomplished that goal for connecting with the world. So, and if this was how it was supposed to be done, you guys were a mystery band for a while, so be it, because I would say you accomplished your goal of that 100%.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Of course.
So cool.
And I will wrap it up here then. I really appreciate your guys' time. It's been a genuine honor talking to you. I look forward to seeing your entire discography on Apple, YouTube, everywhere. Like, I can't wait for that to be available. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and I look forward to the future.
thanks, Nikki.
Cheers, Nikki.
Cheers.